So let me know once you are able to see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay. So in the past session, we have discussed about some of the uh, screens in SAP, the transaction codes PA20 and PA30, and the functionalities of those two screens. So I'm just giving you a recap. So PA20 is for display, where we can only display the master data or the employee data of a single employee. So PA30, we have another transaction PA30, which will be used to maintain the data of that particular employee. Okay. Um, so Ganesh, for your reference, if you have to open another screen, keeping the screen like this, what you have to do is you have to type /o.
Sai, I think he's not available in our call.
Yes, Ganesh has left the meeting.
I think maybe still since okay. I think there is an issue with this link and all because even I am getting a lot of disturbances and I'm getting a lot of breaks.
Is it?
I
I
don't know
see
why.
everyone join the call now. Is it okay,
Yes, yes, sir.
Ganapati now?
Yeah, I can hear you, Sai, now.
Yeah, hi Sunita.
So I'm not able to see the screen.
Okay, let me reshare the screen. Let me know if you are able to see the screen.
No, sir.
Not yet?
Yes, I can.
Second.
Everybody else is able to see the screen.
Yes, I can able to see.
Okay. Ganesh, are you able to see the screen now? You're on mute, Ganesh, if you are speaking.
Yes, sir. Now it's coming. Okay.
Okay, fine. Okay, without much delay, we'll get started. So yesterday we have discussed about some of the basic screens on SAP, the PA20 and PA30. So PA20 is a screen where you can display the master data of any employee, and PA30 is where you can maintain, that is edit, create, copy, delimit or delete an employee's master data. So there are two important things today that you should make a note of. Like, let's say if you want to keep the screen open and have to use another transaction code, then what you can do is you can type here /o, and when you press enter, so it asks us whether you want to create another session, and when you click on generate, it will give you another session. If you see, the previous window is open and also you got a new window now. Okay, so /o is for opening a new session, keeping the old session active. So now if I don't want this session to be active but want to open a new session, what I can do is /n. So /n is for new session without keeping the old session active. If I minimize this, you can't see the previous session, PA30 session. Okay, so /o is for opening a new session with keeping the previous session active. /n will not keep the previous session active but opens a completely new window. Okay, so we'll go to the PA30 again. PA30 is where we maintain master data. um, I just want to ask something. Uh, Sunita, may I know from here if you can identify the delimit icon? One, two, three, four, five, six. So out of these seven icons, which one is the delimit icon, Sunita?
Uh, Adjacent to delete.
This or this?
No, yeah, the second one.
Left?
Yeah,
Yeah, correct.
yeah.
So I was just checking this so that you get everything. Okay, fine. So yesterday we discussed about info type 2, which is for personal data. Info type 6 is for address, and info type 9 for bank data. Okay, so we have discussed about three most important info types of an employee. Then, so while joining the job, people might have said you that you can work from Monday to Friday, and your work hours are from 9 to 6 p.m. So that means this data should be stored somewhere in one of the info types, correct? So IT7 is the info type where your work shift or the work pattern will get stored. So we call this info type as planned working time. So if I'm going to display for this employee about his planned working time, so he has a work schedule code. So basically what happens for this pattern, there will be a code assigned in the backend. When this code is assigned here in the master data, that means you will work according to this pattern. Okay, now let me check the pattern. So you can see the work schedule button here, right everyone? So when I click on this work schedule button, it will display the actual work schedule data, but since there is some issue in the backend, you won't be able to see that. So I'm changing the dates. So if you see here, on January 2001, this is from 1st Jan, 2nd Jan, 3rd Jan, 4th, 5th, 6th and so on till 31st. So employee has Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday as working hours, and Saturday and Sunday as off days. So let's see what is scheduled from Monday to Friday. So when I double click on this code, what I'll get is I'll get the planned working time. So this is the working times that are applicable for this employee. So it starts from 8 and ends on 6 o'clock. Okay, so is it clear how I navigated to this window, or do you want me to show you again? So I'll show it again.
Show it again.
Yeah. So I've entered into info type 7. Info type 7 is the place where the work pattern of that particular employee is assigned. So there is a code that's been assigned to that work pattern. So this code is flex. And when I click on this work schedule button at the top of the window, I'll get the calendar. Since our system has some issue, the calendar is not displayed immediately, but this is how it looks whenever I click on the work schedule window. So this is the schedule for Jan 2001. So if I check this schedule, you can clearly see from 1st Jan till 31st Jan. So whatever you see in the top left box is the date, 1st, 2nd, 3rd and so on till 31st. Okay, and then whatever you see in this box is the actual work pattern. So if I click on this work pattern code, then it will display you the planned working time of that particular day. So it is 8 till 6 o'clock. So as this code is same, flex, 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 that means wherever this flex code is present, that means on that particular day, the work schedule is from 8 till 6 o'clock in the evening. Clear? And then we have Saturday and Sundays as off. So if I check off, the working hours will be 0. So that means you have an holiday whenever the employee is working, whenever there is Saturday and Sunday. Clear? So
Sai,
mhm.
can you go to the
Okay, you want me to go to that screen? Fine. Okay,
adjacent to flex? There is
this
one right next to, yeah, just before that there is a column, a box with one, and few others are empty.
can you
What?
tell me the date, because you can see the date here.
If we choose day 1,
Day
date
1.
one.
Okay. This. Yeah.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that
Mm-hmm.
below that. What is
Okay.
that one?
This represents public holiday. So whenever there is a public holiday, this is a bit advanced concept. So I thought I'll later introduce to that part. Whenever there is a public holiday, there would be a code assigned to public holidays, and that we can see that if you see here, it's a New Year day. So that is the reason why you can see that holiday class 1 against first. Okay. So if you
Okay.
want to navigate to any other month, like let's say December, okay, so I can enter the month number here and you will get navigated to that particular month. Okay, so December 25th and 26th are also held holidays. So here you can see the one against December.
What is 2 again? Just beside 25.
This is a
Yeah.
separate holiday class. This is very advanced concept wherein, like, let's say some of the holidays are to be paid separately in a different way. Then what we can do against those holidays, we can assign a different code. Sunita, is it Sunita or Lakshmi?
Okay.
Sunita, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sunita. Yeah.
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 So depending on the payment that we want to make, we can assign a different code. This entire thing will happen in a different configuration base. Okay, so for now what you have to concentrate is this, whatever fields you can see here, highlight if there is a public holiday, and this is the work schedule on that particular day, and this is date.
Okay.
Okay, Ganesh, is it
Sure.
clear?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Yeah, and whatever you are getting on top of the screen, monthly hours, that means in this particular month, employee is supposed to work 153 months according to his 153 hours according to his work schedule. So if I go to the previous month, you can see there is an increase 161. If I go to the previous month, there is an increase 172. To the previous month, there is a decrease 148. Okay, it's because there may be more number of Saturdays or Sundays and working days in few months. Okay, so my question is, where can you observe least number of working days in a month? In which month you can observe least number of working days? If consider
Sir,
our pattern is Monday to Friday.
Mostly in November and December, January. These 3 months we have more holidays.
No, like ignore the public holidays. Ignore the public holidays. Consider even the public holidays working.
Okay.
So Monday to Friday we have work schedules.
To February?
Correct, right. So I just thought to introduce you this because whenever you see the work schedule, you won't get confused immediately why this employee has less number of working hours in particular month. So see, in February the employee has 148, just 148 hours. Okay, right. Then I have introduced to the work schedule hours. Then what is this? This I will introduce to you whenever I come to the configuration of IT7. Till then, what you can understand is like the working pattern of that particular employee will be stored in info type 7. Okay. Then what is the most important thing that you will look into whenever a offer is given to you? Ganapati?
Salary.
Right. So then comes the most important part, salary. So even the salary must be somewhere stored in the info types, correct? So the info type number that's been used for salary is info type 8, which we call as basic pay. In India, you might have heard as basic pay, but in some other countries they will call it as a different wording, call it with a different wording. They may simply call it as salary or monthly salary, something like that. Okay, now if I am going to check the basic pay of this employee, you can see here two separate windows and then the third window. In third window, you can see that employee has this salary 440,038.97 euros. Okay, so that means employees monthly pay is this. And there is also field for calculating the annual salary. Like let's say if the salary maintained here is monthly salary, then if the employee is monthly, then the monthly salary times 12 will be your annual salary that will get reflected here. It is not configured properly. That is the reason why annual salary is blank for this employee. But during the configuration, I'll explain you how you can auto populate the annual salary depending on the monthly salary you entered here. Okay. Any doubts? Hello.
No, sir.
Okay, I take it as a no. Okay, so these are some of the most important info types. 2. Personal data. 6. Address. 7. For work schedule. 8. For salary. 9. For bank details. Now, offer is given to you. So what will you ask the employer? You will ask them, what is my base location, correct? What is my base location and your designation details, and let's see where we'll get this information stored in SAP. So info type 1, that is organization assignment, is where those details will be stored. So if I display, so this contains in which company you were given offer and in which location you were given that offer, and if you are a permanent employee or a part-time employee or a contractor, that would be in this. And then your position, so you might be offered as an associate or senior consultant or consultant, those details will get stored here. And in India, what is the payment frequency? I mean, what is the frequency that you get salary? You get salary once in a month, right? But in some countries, the employee may even get a salary on a weekly basis or on 14-day basis or bi-weekly, what we call, which can also be called as fortnight. So 14 days once they will get the salary. So some employees will get monthly. So that information can be dependent on this payroll area. So depending on this, employee will get paid. If I assign a weekly code here, then employee will get weekly salary. If I assign a monthly code here, the employee will get monthly salary. Fine. So I'll introduce to this again during the configuration, but for now what you must know is your position, company details, location details, and your type of employment, and your payroll area, what we call as pay frequency, will be stored in info type 1. So if you have to know in which info type you are in, you can see the header. This confirms that you are in organizational assignment, which is nothing but IT1, info type 1. Info type can also be short formed as IT1, IT info type. Okay, then so you have been hired, given some promotion or change in locations, or given some hike. Then if HR wants to know how many times you got promotion or how many times you got location changes and all, where they can check. So there must be some info type where this information gets saved. So that information type or the information will be stored in this info type actions, which is 0 number in SAP. So when I enter 0, it's the actions info type. So now I'm going to check what is stored in this info type actions. So if I see, whenever the employee is hired, the action type is hiring, and the position against which the employee is hired and the location against which the employee is hired, you can view it here. Okay, similarly, if there is any promotion or hike that happens, all that will be captured in actions info type. For now, this employee has only action, I mean hiring action. Other than that, there are no actions done on this employee, so that you are not able to see any action types again here. Okay, so 0 is where the actions done on your employment will be shown. 1 is where the details relating to your working company, position, employment type will be stored. 2 is where your personal data will be stored. 6 is where your addresses will be stored. 7 is where your planned working time or the work schedule will be stored. 8 is where the basic pay is stored, and 9 is where the bank details will be stored. Then there comes another info type which can be useful for some countries, and for some countries it may not be mandate. So you might have also been asked like to fill your family details, right? So all your family details will be stored in info type 21. 21 is to where the family members details will be stored. So if I check if there is any data against 21, here you can see pop up no data stored for family members dependents in the selected period. That means the employee might not have provided the data of their family members. Let's say if I have to create his spouse details, so now I'm clicking on create. So you can see the subtypes. STYP means subtype. Okay, in subtypes, for spouse it's subtype 1, for father it's subtype 11, for mother it's subtype 12. So now I am going to select the spouse. Okay, so here we can give the spouse name and spouse date of birth and so on, and then we can click on save. Okay, so it says invalid date of birth because we have to enter the date, but I am giving some characters, that's why it's not taken. So let's give the date as 1/1/1980. Okay, then you can see this warning which indicates that start date. If you see this start date, that means so even before the person is born we are maintaining the data. So this must be something like this. Whenever the employee is hired, if he has provided the data, then we maintain this. So now here you can clearly see the record is created. Now I'm clicking on display. Now you can see the spouse details. Okay, clear? So info type 21 is where we maintain the family members details. Okay. Ganesh, what is the info type where we store the addresses?
Addresses. Info type 6.
Okay. Sunita, what is meant by subtype?
Subtype is subsections of the info type. If we go into info type, we will choose the subtype which shows the codes for example 21. If we go to types, we can see different codes for spouse, parents.
Excellent. Excellent. So this might be your one of the interview questions. So keep this in mind, and so now I think you are good at understanding, and whatever Sunita has given the description against the subtype is perfect description. It's just subcategorization of that particular info type. Okay, right. Now this is all about some of the most important subtypes. Now so whenever you got a job, you might have also asked your employer like, will I be getting any leaves in the first 6 months, or will I be, how many leaves I'll get, right? Or you might have already given that info in hand in a paper, right? So where does that get that information is stored in SAP? Like let's say Ganesh is going to get 20 leaves in a year. So he has a bucket of 20 quota, absence quota, what we call in SAP terminology, or the leave quota. So that is stored in info type 2006. So you can see absence quota Let me check if there is any absence quota for this employee. Okay, here you see there is a quota of 30 and the validity date of this quota is from 2013 till December 2013. But the deduction interval, when I meant deduction interval, it means till when you can apply leaves. So you can apply the leaves against this quota till 2014 March 31st. So you can apply any leaves from 1/1/2013 till 31/3/2014 against this particular leave quota. Okay. So 2006 is where your quota related information will be stored. I am saying leaves, but you didn't see leaves in this screen, correct? So leaves are also stored in one of the info types. So 2001 is the info type where the leave data is stored. Like let's say Sunita has applied a leave on 25th November. So where I can see her leave data is in this info type. So let me check if there is any data against this employee in this info type. So here you can see that employee has applied a leave from 2nd November to 2nd September 2002 till 13th September 2002. Okay, if you want to check what are the working days of this employee, here you can click on the personal work schedule again, and it asks you between which date you want to check the work schedule. You can click this by entering the dates, and then you can clearly see here on 2nd there is a flex and working hours are 7.20, and 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th there are working hours with planned working hours are 7.2, and then Saturday, Sunday 7th and 8th off, and rest of all days are 7.2. Okay, so only these days we have working hours. So out of 12 calendar days, only 10 are working days. So you can see absence days as 10 here, per day 7.2. So 7.2 times 10 is your 72 hours of absence. Is it clear? I'll give you a minute. If you have any queries, you can ask me now. Ganapati?
I don't have anything, Sai.
Okay, I think everyone is clear. So 2001 is where the leaves get stored. You can see multiple records because the leave is also applied on 10th September till 28th September 2001. Okay. So all the leave history you can see in info type 2001. So you might be wondering, whenever you apply leaves on portal, from where that history is, would be picked in portal. That is something from here. Okay. Now, Sunita, I hope it's clear for you, like what is PA30, what is PA20, and how do we edit, create, delete the data, and what are the some of the major info types that will be used in the payroll, right? So now
Yes, sir.
I'll get into the configuration part. So please be attentive. Now, let's say Sunita has earned some good money. Now she's in a stage where she wants to set up her own company. Okay, Sunita. Now, so what you will do? So now you will identify in what type of company you want to start, right? Can you tell me the company name that you want to start?
ABC. Step.
Sunita ABC company. Okay. Then the next part is where you want to set up the company, right? Let's say you want to set up in 2 places at the same time. Okay. So Sunita want to set up company ABC, one in Hyderabad and one is in Bangalore. Okay. And then you have set up the company. Now you want to hire the employees, right, Sunita? So let's say yours is a manufacturing industry. So What are the type of employees you require in your industry? Manager, needed or not?
Roles. Okay. Yes.
Manager, supervisors,
Mhm.
labor staff, since it's an industry, HRs, finance or CA, correct? And what more? CEO, right? So these are some of the employment types or employee types that you want to hire, correct? Right? Next, manager. So in manager, like there can be a full-time manager and also a part-time manager. Or you, if your company is doing good, you can have also the interns, right? So all this data should also be created in SAP, because you must know you must have a codes against assign them. So for everything that is there here, we have respective codes assigned in SAP. It's up to you what type of code you want to give. You can give something like ABCD or 1 2 3 4. It's up to you. But there must be some code assigned in SAP to identify that that code is Sunita ABC company. Okay. So now I'm going to show you how we can create those things in SAP. So now we have seen the employee side, the employee data, all these things. Now we are going to see the employer data, or we can also call that as enterprise structure. This is an enterprise, right? So we can also call it as an enterprise structure. Okay. So the transaction code, the T code, which will be used to create those things, is SPRO. This is not 0, this is O. Okay. SPRO. So when I been into this screen, you will see this in this button, SAP reference IMG. So what is IMG indicates is implementation guide. So we are going to implement or develop these things in the SAP. So we have to click on this icon. So it will take you into this screen. Okay. So SPRO is a transaction code, and when we enter into that, you have to click on SAP reference IMG and it will take you to this screen. Okay. Now, once you are into this screen, as I said, this is related to enterprise. Now we have to identify the node where we can configure the enterprise. If you see, this is the node which has the enterprise structure. Okay. So this button is like a drop down. So if I click on this, it will further show you the sub nodes. This we call as sub nodes. This is a main node. Okay. Then now we have to create this company. So now I'm going into this subnode definition. Okay. So when I go into this subnode definition, there are again another subnodes: financial accounting, controlling, logistics, and so on. So now I'm clicking on financial accounting subnode. Then you can see here define company. Can you see this define company? So once you are into SPRO path, enterprise structure, definition, and then financial accounting, you can see define company. Then this icon, you have to click on that. So when you click on that, this is where you will first create the company. So Sunita, assume the situation like just Reliance. So in Reliance, there are sub companies, right? Like Reliance Trends, Reliance Fresh, and so on. So here, first what you have to do is you have to create the company like Reliance. So what I'll do here is I can click on new entry. Okay, new entry. As you said, you want to give your company code as ABCD. I'm giving the same code for company. So here Sunita ABC company. Okay, Sunita ABC company. Okay, next, this is the main office address. So you might have sub addresses like Hyderabad and Bangalore. In Hyderabad, there might be some more bifurcations, like one is in Malakpet, one is in Dilshuk Nagar, one is in Nagol, LB Nagar, something like that. But this is the head office address. So I'll put some random address here. Country, so it's India. So when I click on the side icon, you can see the codes against the country names. So India, let's see what is India. So India is IN. So I'm double clicking on this icon, this option. So India, and language is EN. And what is the currency used in your company? It's INR, right? Okay, so Indian rupee. Then I'll click on save. So let me maximize the screen. So there is an error. It says specify field postal code with length 6. So in India, postal code is 6 characters. That is the reason why you got that error. So now when I click, it says an entry already exists with the same key. That means there is already another company created with ABCD code. So you can't create with two companies with the same code, because the code must be unique to identify the company, right? So let's see if there is already one. Okay, see, there is ABCD company created with name Accenture Private Limited. Okay, so that's the reason why system is not accepting the value ABCD. So let's assume, Sunita, you have got a job in SAP functional consulting role, and you got a client who said that ours is a multinational company, so we want the implementation to happen for all the countries: India, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, every country we want to implement them in your SAP system. Okay, so if you are going to create ABCD company, so for India it's ABCD, for others it might be something else, for rest of the countries it might be any other thing. So in that case, what we have to follow is, so that nobody uses our code, and once you look into the code, it will make clear that it is related to India or it is related to Singapore. So we call that as naming convention. So if you are pretty clear with the naming convention, you can assign code, and when you looking at the code, you can easily understand. So this is related to India, this is related to Singapore. So what is the naming convention? How you can follow that? Okay, there is something called as MOLGA, or the country code in SAP. So for each country, there is a code assigned in the backend. So we call that as MOLGA in SAP terminology. So if I see here, against Germany, the code is DE, Switzerland CH, Austria 80, and so on. And when you get down to here, also you could see the MOLGA here. MOLGA, 1 is for Germany, 2 is for Switzerland, and so on. For India, it's 40. Let me show you that. Here you go. For India, it's 40. So what you can do while creating the company code is, when you enter here, so you have to give the first two characters as MOLGA, and then the company, let's say if you have 5 companies, you can start with 01, and the next company 02, 03, 04, 05. So this indicates that, okay, the first two characters are India, so this is an Indian company. Is it clear, Ganesh?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, so this is advisable. It is not mandate. It is an advisable use, so that nobody will get confused. And when you look at the company code or company name, it makes sense, and it would be easily be able to understand. Okay, now I'm saying when I'm trying to save, there is a prompt window which has populated. So we call this as transport. So all the changes you do will be stored in this number, so that, as I said earlier in the first session, we have something like development, quality and production. If I am creating a company, so I'm creating it in development system. So now if there is no if there is no transport option, you have to create separately in quality and also in production, right? So to eradicate that, SAP introduced something called as transport. In this number, all the changes that we do will be stored, and we can move this number to quality and production, and all your changes will reflect in your quality as well as in production. Should I explain this once again? Sunita or Ganesh
Yes,
or
sir.
Lakshmi? Yeah. So all the changes that you do will be stored in this number, and you don't have to configure again in quality and production system separately. So you can just move this number and all your changes will get transported to quality or production. Okay?
Here I have one question, sir. Yeah,
Okay.
please go ahead.
No, I just want you to show the previous page. I mean, how did you get onto this page is my question.
When I click on save it, so I just cancelled it. Now when I clicking on Control S or save icon,
Oh,
you will get this window.
giving the prompt.
Okay. So
Sai, I have a question.
yes, Lakshmi.
So for every time whenever we are saving, we will get this transaction request number, right?
Okay.
So this request number we need to store somewhere, and if we forgot to store this one, right?
Right.
So where?
Even if you forgot to store this one, you can get this number from another transaction code. And also I want to mention it clearly here. So Lakshmi and Sunita are working on the same system. So Lakshmi is working on India, Sunita is working on Singapore. So they must have two different transports, right? Or else there is a chance that Lakshmi don't want to move the changes, but Sunita want to move the changes. Okay, in that case it's going to be a trouble. So we should have two separate transports, one for Lakshmi and one for Sunita. So this gets assigned, this transport number gets assigned against your user IDs. So if Lakshmi created this, it would reflect against Lakshmi's user ID, and if Sunita created it, it would reflect against Sunita's user ID. And unless you move it, if there is one open transport, that means transport is not moved to quality. Whatever the changes you do, and when you click on save, this transport number populates and it asks you whether if you want to save those changes against this transport number. Okay, so if there are two different things that you are working on at the same time, make sure that the changes are correctly stored in the transport number that you require. Let's say if you don't want to store your changes against this transport number, so then what you can do, you can click on create request, and you can give description. Now we are creating company code, so I gave company code, and when I clicked on save, okay, now you got different code. Okay, so now I'll click continue. So it is saved against that particular transport. So Lakshmi, is it clear?
Yes, Sai. So for every user, usually in SAP we have different users for ourselves, right?
Correct.
But we are all working on the same SAP platform as a tester now,
Right.
right? In the same user. So when because today we got a session, so tomorrow we might have practiced it, right? So Sunita might have created this one, and I might have created one more thing.
Correct.
So it will not be what the initial one who has saved it. If the second person saves, that is not overlapped with the first ones, right? It will be there.
I mean, this will be changed. Like let's say if you have done, Sunita has created ABC company. Now you have come to the same company code and try to change it as, instead of ABC company, let's say you made it as EFG company. Then here EFG company will reflect. And
Okay.
whenever the changes moves, it's the Sunita EFG company, because it depends on who moves the transport first. So when you are
Okay,
moving it,
it's
whatever,
always better to create our own transport request, right?
correct. So it's always better to create your own transport request. Guys, we have the session till first session ending in 4 more minutes. Once it hits the 4, the call will get auto disconnected. So I'm trying to wrap it up as soon as possible, and we'll connect after 15 minutes, because I have second session scheduled. So SE10 is a transaction code where you can check the transports on your user ID. So here you can see these options. So if you are not clear, check all the boxes and click on display. So now whatever the company code that we have created, you can see again this transport. So you were asking earlier where we can see if we have forgot to note down the number. So this is where you can see. Clear, Lakshmi?
Yes, I
SE
SE10,
transaction
SE10,
code is
SE10, SE10. So
A10.
slash O I use because I want to open another screen, keeping the previous session active. And SE10 I amended because SE10 is a transaction code. Okay.
Slash SE10.
You
No,
don't have to
slash O
hit
is the
slash O is for opening new screen, keeping the previous screen active. And we want to visit SE10 screen. So SE10 is a transaction code.
Sir,
okay.
it's only SE10.
Yes, it's only SE10. If you want to check, I'll show you. So here I'm going and clicking on SE10, and you can check all these boxes. I'll explain about these all boxes at a later point of time, because if I tell you now, it will be more confusing. And when you click on display, this will get all the transports on your user ID. Okay, and it also shows where you have created that entry. So as I said earlier, all the configurations that you do will be stored in tables. So if I click on print option here, you will see this view name v underscore t880 is a table where this information is saved. And if I look in transport, you can see that okay, this user ID did some changes in this particular table, and this is the code 4001. Okay, 4001. Clear, Sunita?
Yes, sir.
Okay, guys, we'll get disconnected and connect again in 15 minutes so that you won't get overloaded with the information. Okay, take a break and we'll get back in 15 minutes. Please get into the another schedule invite that I've sent, the second invite.
Okay,
Sure,
sir.
sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.